Opinions and stories around the game we love, told by your favorite storytellers. Stay up to date with all things cricket. Subscribe to Cricbuzz's YouTube channel and press that bell icon now.
Kolkata Knight Riders are a very, very interesting team. Look at what they did last year. From a team that was virtually written off in the first half, they came to the UAE and turned it round completely. And in spite of all that, in spite of being the finalists, you see changes in the air for KKR. I look at KKR and I think they're trying to do in 2022 what they did so successfully in 2011. Management is still the same. They banked heavily on one player, Gautam Gambhir, as captain, built a team around him and thought they'd come good, and that is what they're trying to do with Shreyas Iyer. But it's interesting what they've done with Owen Morgan. Morgan hasn't been able to score a run. He's struggling a lot with the bat, and I think KKR have now said, when we went with Gambhir, we had a long-term plan in mind. Now our long-term captain is Shreyas Iyer. I don't know how much more Morgan's going to give us. So thank you very much, Morgan. That's also, I think, what they've decided with Dinesh Karthik. Look, I don't know how many years DK is going to give us. So let's move on and try and build a new team around them. Have they managed to do that? So let's look at that side. Look at the captain and look at the 4 retentions for a start. They knew before the auction started that come what may, they were going for Shreyas Iyer. They might say they got him for a little less, but 12.5 crores is a lot of money to put behind a captain. They'll want Shreyas to lead the way. The good thing is that in spite of Shreyas Iyer not having sort of scary world-beating numbers in the IPL, he's in very, very good form. I saw him play in the home series recently, and he came in at number 3 and he owned the place. And I just loved the way he played fearlessly. And I think there's a little bit of hurt in Shreyas Iyer, which if he can channelize, the hurt that came out of Delhi Capitals, if he can channelize that, then it'll be fantastic for KKR. I think they've done well with their choice of Shreyas Iyer as a long-term captain, not just for this time. Now you look at their retentions and say, oh, I'm not so sure, the fitness of Chakravarthy, the fitness of Russell, how much longer is Narayan going to be around? Is Varun Chakravarthy going to be a one-season wonder? Is he going to have the second season blues coming up on him? So let's look at those 4 one by one. I'll start with Venkatesh Iyer. When KKR turned their fortunes around in the UAE in 21, very central to that renaissance was Venkatesh Iyer. I know he finished the IPL. By the time he finished, the strike rate had come down to 127, 128, but the tracks had started to get a little slower too. But I thought he was the energy behind the big change that came about. Then what else has he done? He's gone back. He's had a great Vijay Hazare. He's had a great Mushtaq Ali. He batted in the middle order there because that's where he thought India needed him more. Then India played him at number 5, number 6, and he played magnificently and was scoring at 170, 180 as a finisher. He's turning his career around. He scored those 20s, 30s, which is what you want with someone who plays there. Now, where does he play for KKR? Does KKR say India need him as an option at 6? Let's prep him as a number 5, number 6 player. I think that's asking too much because KKR's primary ambition is to win the title. And to win that, they've got to play Venkatesh Iyer at the position that suits him the best. I think he's got to open the batting. So Venkatesh Iyer, I'll be very surprised if he doesn't open the batting for KKR. That I think is a very good retention. The second season blues, look, there's different kinds of players. I'm not worried about Venkatesh Iyer. And what I've seen of him, I've been very impressed. Then Andre Russell. Look, Russell's going through a little dip. He's not the Russell that he was. If he can come fit, though, then there is no other number 6 like him in international cricket. But when we say dip, what are we talking about? We're talking about a dip from strike rate of 180 to 165, 166 over a little period. If he can give KKR 160 plus strike rate, KKR are laughing as if we don't care about the dip. I think they might need to use him a lot more as a bowler. The concern is when his economy rate at the death or general economy rate is about 9.5, 10, but they will need him as a bowler. So they will want him to be very fit and they will not want him to dive at the boundary line. Every time Russell dives at the boundary line, all the KKR fans start to go, oops, what's coming next? So a fit Russell, a hungry Russell, wow, you don't know what to expect. Now, Sunil Narayan. There's a feeling that Sunil Narayan is coming to the end, that the mystery around him is over. Sunil Narayan is a T20 franchise beast. Make no mistake. Look at what he did last year. Turned at least 2 matches around with his batting and produced an economy rate just a little bit either side of 6 in most games. So Sunil Narayan as a bowler, No worries at all. He's come in a rich vein of form. His economy rate in the CPL was 4.5. Even if you say, look, those wickets are made for him. What about the Bangladesh Premier League? You could argue and say in the Bangladesh Premier League, the competition wasn't what it's likely to be at the IPL. But with big players, you look at the form they're in. And in both those tournaments, Sunil Narayan was in very good form. They'll use him as a floater. I don't see how they'll use him as an opener. The concern is Varun Chakravarthy, who's not played since the T20 World Cup, and his is a very fragile body. They need him to be able to bowl well in tandem with Sunil Narayan, because with bowling being a concern, slight concern for KKR this year, those two are the core of that KKR attack. In the IPL in 2021, between them, they delivered you 24 wickets at an economy rate of 6. They bowl well in the power play. They bowl well deep into the death area. They bowl well in the middle. The question is they've got only 8. Which brings us to the next issue with KKR. Let's look at the bowling. I like Shivam Mavi. Let's look who's around Shivam Mavi. Remember, he's only played 25 or 26 out of 60 games for KKR. Pat Cummins will come in a little late. That's not such a big issue because Tim Southey, I think, is an excellent replacement. So Cummins for Southey, they won't. It's still doable. Now, who else? You need 2 other quicks. You've got Shivam Mavi and you've got Umesh Yadav. He's only played 2 games in the last couple of years in the IPL. His economy rates are big. They will want Umesh Yadav to get his rhythm right and bowl really well in the power play to allow an over or 2 from Cummins at the end, to allow a little bit of Mavi at the end, to allow a little bit of Russell at the end. But that's taking a gamble. If you remember, they also bought him very late in the auction. So bowling and quick bowling is a bit of an issue. If they're willing to go with Russell, Mavi and Cummins or Southey, and they hope they can play Anukul Roy. But remember, they're playing in Mumbai, where a lot of their games, those are tracks which are difficult to control, not a lot for the spin, good bounce. So I think bowling is a bit of an issue. They'll want both their mystery spinners and Andre Russell to be in very good form, and Pat Cummins come and say, relax, look, I'm not captaining Australia again. I've actually made their first 11. This is what I see it like. I've got Venkatesh Iyer at the top. I've got Ajinkya Rahane opening the batting. I'll tell you why in just a moment. Then Shreyas Iyer, Nitish Rana. They need Nitish Rana to have a big season. Sam Billings as keeper. He'll be available to them for the season. I don't see England calling him back for the test matches. Then it really starts to get powerful. Shreyas Iyer, Nitish Rana, Sam Billings, Andre Russell, Sunil Narayan, Pat Cummins. If everyone is playing to potential like every other team, can do a lot. The question is, if they get into trouble, do they have the backups? They might be a little worried with the kind of backups they have. I know that they have Rinku Singh as a backup batsman. He's played well for Uttar Pradesh, but you really want this first team to do well. So KKR, wish you well with Shreyas Iyer as captain. And Shreyas, if you're in the form, if you can lead the way at the top, then fantastic. So let's look at, keen to see how KKR goes. But as I said, they'll need key players to do well.